Hi everyone. Today and tomorrow Salesforce Lightning, day 40. So what are we going to learn today? Today our focus is on, we will go through the previous session review and collection data types in Aura. How we are going to use the collection data types in Aura. And iteration in Aura. How can we loop through the records in Aura? And what is the RadioGroup? How to implement the RadioGroup? And what are the sObject data types in Aura? How can we declare the sObject data types in Aura? And then we'll talk about the LDS, Lightning Data Service, and then what is the form based in the Lightning Data Service. And then we will talk about the record view form. In between this, we will talk about JavaScript also, array methods in JavaScript. And then we will see the quiz, homework, and today's interview. So quickly, what did we learn in the last class?
Layout, Lightning layout.
Aura handler, Aura carousel.
Aura handler, init handler, yes.
Parcel.
Aura carousel and its attributes.
Aura handler, init handler, carousel, and carousel image.
Yes. So today we are, yes.
Have you? I mean, the Aura method you have discussed here. I think
We have not yet discussed Aura method.
Oh. Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the collection data type in Aura. So in development class, we learned the collection data types. What are the different collection data types in Apex?
List, set, and map.
List, set, map.
List, set, map. Now, let's see what are the collection types will be supported in Aura. So in Aura also we have a list, similar concept, an ordered collection of items. But how can I declare the list? So in Apex, how we used to declare it? How to declare the list in Apex?
Like list.
Duplicate
Data type. List variable name.
Variable name
Equals to
List data.
new
List data type, and
type.
we used to give
variable
Variable name equals to
New
list.
list
data.
data
list
type.
data type.
right. So this is how we used to declare in Apex. Now coming to the Aura. In Aura, how can we do it? So in Aura, for the declaration, what we use a Aura attributes. For variable declaration, we use Aura attributes. In Aura attributes, I have taken a variable name where name equal to colors. So here the variable name is some VNAM is there. Here the variable name where we are giving name equal to colors. And then type equal to list. Type equal to list. So this type is going to decide which type of attribute is it. Is it a primitive data type attribute or is it a collection data type attribute? If it is a collection data type, so which type it is? Is it a list or set or map? So type is the one which is going to decide in the Aura attribute. So type equal to list, and then we have to give a default value. We have to give default value. So in JavaScript, list is nothing but an array, right? It is similar like an array. So in JavaScript, whenever we are declaring any list, the declaration will be within this square bracket and close bracket. And then within this, we will be mentioning the values. What are the values you wanted to add? We will be adding it. So similarly, in Aura also we have a open square bracket and close square bracket. Within this, we will be mentioning the values. So outside it is a double quotes, and each value has to be within the single quotes if it is a string. If it is a string. Now, either you can declare the type equal to list like this, or there is another way of declaration in the Aura attribute, which is a string and then open close square brackets. Like in Apex also we have a string, open close, and then we are giving the variable name equal, right? This is how we are declaring it. Similarly, in Aura also we have type equal to string. This is a list, string list. Now in this string list, I can store any string value. Now you can tell me here, I'm not defining the data type here. I'm not defining the data type. It is just a list. But when you are giving the default, right? So basically the Aura or JavaScript, it will accept, the variable will be accepted. If you take an integer also, everything will be converted into the string. Now here, if you are giving here anything in the default value, everything will be taken as a string. If you want integer, we can also store the integer. How? Let me show you with the example. For now, let's concentrate how to declare the list data type, list collection data type in Aura. So in Aura, list is divided. We can either declare it type equal to list or type equal to string. By using this, we are going to declare the list collection data type. By using this, we are going to declare the list collection data types. For example, let me go ahead and create one program in the Salesforce. Let's create a new Lightning component. LC underscore. Today we are talking about the collection. Click on submit. Okay. So now I'm going to declare a Aura attribute, Aura colon attribute. And then I'll give a name equal to, let's take age. And then type, I'm just going to declare it as a integer. Integer. Okay. And default, you can give any default value. And within this, what I'm doing, we are storing the integer numbers. So we can give any numbers. Okay, this is one way of declaration. There is another way of declaration is Aura attribute. Let's take a city. So here I'm going to store the list. So let's give some city names here. Some names I'm giving: Hyderabad, Bangalore, Delhi.
Ma'am, default spelling is mistake.
Yeah, Delhi. And then we have a Mumbai. Right? So this is the another way of declaration. This is another way of declaration. Either I can declare type equal to, you can give the data type name and open close brackets, or else if you want to just specify the list, you can specify the just list and you have to give the default value. Now, I do not want to specify the default value. That's okay, you can do that. So without giving the default value, also you can declare it. Aura colon attribute name equal to, let's take a numbers. Now type equal to, I'll just say list. I'm not declaring the default. Right, this is my declaration. Aura attribute numbers list. That means this list is going to contain only the integer value. Now the question is that I'm not specifying anything here, but how it will store the integer. It can store the integer, any data type it will store. If you are printing the list of the account records also, it can take. If you are printing the numbers, it can take. If you are pushing the string, integer, anything, it can take it up. So for example, right now I'm using the numbers list. So this is how we declare it. This is how we declare it. This is for list. Whenever you see in the real time, if you are reviewing any program, any Lightning component, if you are reviewing it, check what is the type of that particular attribute. If it says list, that means it is a list collection. If it says something, some data type, primitive data type, and then square bracket, open square bracket and close square bracket is nothing but it's a list data type. This is another word we call it in the component is array, because we use the JavaScript also here. So we can call this as a array also. So list is nothing but array. And then the second one we have set. So yesterday we have learned set. Set is nothing but an unordered collection of items. So similarly, we have here, wherever you see the type equal to set, that means this is a set collection attribute declaration. Set collection attribute declaration. So let's go ahead and show you that. So let me declare the set. Aura colon attribute. So this time I'm going to take places. And then let's take the type equal to, I'm using the set. Set does not allow the duplicate values. So similar feature is available in the Aura component also. So default equal to. So I'm taking the places. So 3 places I'm taking. Let's take US, UK, and India. And then I'm closing it. This is the declaration of set. This is the declaration of set. List, wherever the list is there, type equal to list, wherever the set equal to there, set type equal to set. Now coming back to the map. Map is a bit different from the list and set. Map is a key value pair, right? So till now, list and set has a single keys here. There is a no value. That means only one value is there. Now, how to declare a map attribute? Definitely type equal to map, we have to give it. But when we are storing the values in the map, it should contain the key and value. This is the key and there should be a colon and the value. In Apex, how we used to do the key and value? So for example, if my key is a country, so US equals greater than and then dollar. This is how we used to do in the Apex. But in the Lightning Aura, US colon dollar. US colon dollar. So whatever the before the colon is there, that is a key, and after the colon, it's a value. So we have to store the value in terms of key and value. In terms of key and value. So this is map declaration. This is a map declaration. Everything is same, only the default equal to A colon label 1 and comma B colon label 2. So this is just a sample one. You can use any values here. Now, right now, I'm going to focus on list and set. Now, what I have done is I have just declared the list and set. Now, let's assume that I wanted to store, we have a number list. We have a number list here, right? So whenever the component is loading, that time I wanted to run certain function. Basically, I wanted to push the data to the numbers. When this component is executing it, I wanted to execute certain numbers. I wanted to play certain numbers. Otherwise, let me take this lightning button. Let me take the lightning button. On clicking on the button, what should happen is it should store the numbers from 1 to 20 inside the list. So in order to place the button, which component do I need to use it?
Lightning button.
Lightning button,
Button group.
label name.
Label.
So let's say that display numbers. On click
On
of
click.
this, on click of this, I wanted to execute C:handle numbers. Perfect. So same thing, I'm going to go for a controller and I copied the method name, function name, handle, numbers, component, event, helper. I'm not changing the parameters here, 3 parameters it has. So what I'm going to do is, I wanted to store the details in numbers. Numbers does not have anything. If I print a numbers, numbers is empty, right? If I print here, the numbers,
V dot
we
V
numbers. Now let me execute this. Lightning component, let me copy this. File, new Lightning application. Click on submit. I'm going to use C:, the component name. And what is the extension that we need to use it?
(SLDS).
Extension course SLDS.
Course : SLDS. So now let's click on a preview. Right? So right now, this numbers is not displaying any value because we do not have any default value also. Okay, let's change a little bit. If I wanted to display this display number this side, what is the best way to implement? I need to change the position of the button.
Actions.
Aura
Set actions.
Aura set.
Aura set
Attribute.
sorry. Aura set the attribute.
Attribute.
Attribute to action.
Actions.
Lightning card we need to put on. It will not work without.
It will not work without Lightning card.
I think.
Lightning card. What is the attributes that we have in the Lightning card?
Title. Icon name.
Perfect. Yes. Okay. So now the display number this side and it is showing the title. Now, our focus is displaying these numbers. Now I wanted to push certain values. So what are the values that I wanted to push? Assume that I wanted to push 1 to 20. 1 to 20 numbers I wanted to push into the list data type. List data type. Now in generic, if you wanted to print 1 to 20, what is the command that we use? This is in general any language. If I wanted to print 1 to 20.
Loop.
For loop.
For loop. So we use for loop. So for loop, within the for loop, I'm just using the for loop here. First, I need to declare the one value here. So for declaration, var I equal to 0. And then I less than 20. And then I plus plus. I'm declaring here it has a 3 commands. One is a declaration and the second one is a increment. Second one is a end, where should it end? And the third one is a increment. So we have three conditions in the for loop. So usually if I wanted to print, then I print like this, right? Something value, I'll put it, and then I'm printing the I. But in JavaScript, what do I need to do? What do I need to do? So for example,
Component job set. Debug
component.get,
logs.
Curly.
Component dot set.
okay, so component.set. So component.set, we use the whatever the list data type is there. So v.numbers. Now this is a list. This is a list. Now if I write this list within this, what will happen if I say here, comma I? What will happen? It will overwrite.
Every time.
Whatever the previous one is there, it will overwrite the one. But I wanted to store continuously from 1 to 20. Right? I wanted to store continuously 1 to 20. So if I write like this, component.set, v number, it's a numbers or numbers. So v numbers, comma I. If I say this, what will happen? It will overwrite. So first it will come 1. Okay, 1, it will store it into the numbers. Now the next number will increment 2. So when it is at 2, what it does, we are overwriting the previous value and storing the new value here. We are not adding it. We are not concatenating. We are not building here array. I'm not building an array and then storing it here. So instead of writing this line inside the for loop, so what I'm going to do is I'll put that outside of the for loop. Now I'll put that outside of the for loop. Now the question is, I need some variable here which will store all the 1 to 20, right? I need an array that stores the numbers 1 to 20. Right? It is similar like the way, for example, if I give here default equal to double quotes. If I say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? So if I execute this, what will happen? This is storing as an array. Whatever the data is, it is storing like an array. So what will happen? It will print an array. Why it is not printing? v.numbers. Okay, that is a list. List, we cannot print it in the component. Okay, I'll come to that point later. So this is a default declaration of array. This is a default declaration of array. Now, similarly, the same concept, what I wanted to do is I wanted to build in the array. The same concept I wanted to build here. Instead of default value, I wanted to build an array here till 20. So that means first I need to build an array. Then store everything in the array. So that means here I need to have an array declaration. And what I need to do, everything push all the numbers to the array. Then finally, when I come out of this loop, what will happen? There is an array declaration, some variable is there. So the same variable, I'll use it here. The same variable, array declaration variable, I'll use it here. So what will happen at the end? Whatever it is storing into the array, everything I can push into the numbers. So what will happen? At the end, it will be numbers equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is what I'm doing it. I'm doing. So numbers is my attribute. Inside the numbers, I'm storing all the array, whatever the array is there, 1 to 20, I'm storing everything data in one array. So that array, I'm pushing into the numbers attribute. Pushing into the numbers attribute. So how to implement in the controller? Because this code is not a Salesforce code. This is a JavaScript code, which I'm going to write it here. It's a JavaScript code, which I'm going to write it. So in JavaScript, we have a array declaration. Array declaration. So how we declare it? You can use any, like you can use const, var, let, right? Last time we have discussed either you can use a const or you can use a var or you can use a let. Any of these keywords you can use it. And then you are giving a variable name here. This is a variable name equal to, I'm already declaring India, Dubai, US, some places I'm declaring it, right? Which is nothing but what I'm doing it here. So places equal to empty declaration. Or if you do not want empty declaration, you can give some names. So this is how we do it in the JavaScript array declaration. So once the array is declared, then we have to push a certain data. That means right now, India, Dubai, US is there. Now, first I have initialized this. This is initialized at the 4th line. Right now, I am in 12th or 30th line. So in the 30th line, I remember that I forgot to add the value here. So I don't want to go back to the 4th line and add the value here. Instead of that, in the 30th line itself, I wanted to push additional data. That means after US, I wanted to add another data, which is called UK. I wanted to add another value, another place called UK. So how can I do it? Using the command, using the method we have in the JavaScript is push method. So places.push. So what will happen? It always add the value at the end of it. It will not add here. Second, 0th place, first place, second place, or no. It will always add at the end of the array. Whatever the end value is there, after that it will add. For example, let's go here, right click, inspect. Console. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to declare a value. Now you can test your JavaScript code here. Just right click on any page, whether you are in home page or any page, that should be fine. It doesn't matter. Just right click, inspect, click on a console. Now I'm going to declare. See, it is showing the JavaScript code here. So for example, if I take const, I'm going to take the sports, or let me take places only. Places equal to, what I'm going to do, I'm going to declare an array. Right now I'm declaring the array. So places is India, comma, US, comma, UK. Then at the end, colon. So this is, I'm declaring it. If I write console.log, and then if I try to print places, I'm just printing the places. So what it will do, it is printing the whatever the values are declared. So what I did, I used a keyword called here const. You can use a var, you can use a let, anything is fine. Then this is the places is the variable name equal to, I'm declaring a array. In JavaScript, whenever you see this square bracket, open square bracket and close square bracket. That means they are doing the array declaration. They are doing the array declaration. Now I wanted to add one more value to these places. Okay, so what I'll do, places dot, I'll use push, and then I can add a value here. Let's say that, for example, I wanted to add Dubai. Hit enter. Now it is giving me the index. Now if I say console.log places, it will give me India, US, UK, Dubai. There are 4 values are there. What will happen if I extend? It is going to show each index value. The index, it will start with 0th index. It starts with 0th index, 0, first, second, third. Total 4 values are there. So length is 4. Now we have a different methods also. We have, if you write here places dot, you can see so many are there. We hardly use most of them. We use maximum of push and then keys, right? And then if you wanted to know the length, so that is basically whether that particular length is there any value inside that or not? Is there any value inside or not? Right? So what is the keys here? Places, keys. Okay, I don't want to confuse it. So this is what we need right now. I have declared the array. In array, during the declaration, I just gave the 3 values. And then I just printed the value console.log. If you wanted to print the value, you can print it. So using the console.log and give the variable name here. So what it will do, whatever the values that are stored in this particular variable, it will give the values. Now, if you wanted to add additional value, then you can add push Dubai. So by using the function method called push method. In this push method, you can add a 1 value, multiple values, you can do anything. You can do multiple values, right? So length is, if you wanted to know the length, you can just give a dot length. Now, similar way, what I'm going to do is in our code. Okay, so right now I need an array declaration. So for array declaration, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to declare one variable. So right now, okay, so far we have seen the const. So for now, I'm going to take var I'm going to declare a numbers. Okay, I have declared an array here. This number saying, no, you can take anything. So let's say that this is a JS numbers. Okay, don't think that my attribute and this declaration is same. No, it is a different. You can take any variable here in the JavaScript. Now what I did, I declared the array. So array declaration, which is a empty. This is empty array declaration. Right now, if I print, nothing will be there in this array. Now, whatever the values are there here, I wanted to push these values to this array. Whatever the values are there, I wanted to push it to this array. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take this array dot, I'm going to use the method called push. So while doing that, I'm specifying my I, because I is the one which contains the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I is the one which contains the 1 till 20th, 1 to 20th. Now all the values will be, I'm pushing each value here. I'm not overwriting the value. It's keep on adding the value into the array. Now, for testing purpose, what I'll do is, I'll just print here console.log. In Aura, we use console.log, whereas in Apex, we use the system.debug. Console.log, so I'm going to print JS JavaScript numbers. Now click on save. Now this is done. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and execute it. Refresh. Okay, so let's click on display numbers. Right, when I click on display numbers, what happened? It is keep on adding the value. Whatever the previous value is there, along with the previous value, it is adding the new value. So next time it is 2. After that, next, whatever the loop is there, it will be 3. So like that, it is keep on adding till 19th. Because the condition we said is, the condition which is mentioned is less than 20. If I say equal to 20 or greater than 20, then it will be more than 20 numbers. So right now, only till 19th it is going to print. So this is how it's keep on adding the data into JavaScript. Now this is the final result which I needed. This is the final result. Where do I need this final result? I need to set this final result to the numbers. I need to set this final result to the number. So what I'll do is component.set. We have an attribute which is declared in the component. So what I'm going to use? I'm going to use JS number, and this JS number I'm going to push this into numbers. So what are the numbers value is there? Initially everything will be JS number, whatever it has the current value will be pushed to the numbers. So right now, if you try to print, now if I try to print console.log, then I'm going to print component.get v.numbers. I'm just printing once the data is set into the numbers, then I'm printing the value here. So let's go ahead and execute. I'm saving the component. Let's refresh. Now clear everything in the console. Click on a display numbers. Right, so this is the exactly what it is printing. It is printing the value. So if you open this proxy, this is the array. So this array is containing all these values. Now my console.log, now which line it is printing, it will give here. Whatever you see here, this is our component name. It says .js, that means it is printing from the JavaScript, line number 18. So this is the one. So if you click on this, just click on this, it will highlight the 18th line. So the 18th line is whatever we have written, the console.log. Now, in our code, it doesn't say this is the 18th line, it says 13th line. Yes. Whenever it is executing the code, what will happen is it adds a certain metadata information on top. Before executing the controller, it adds the metadata. Some metadata will be added by Salesforce. So this will be by default, Salesforce will add. So that's the reason the same number you will not see in our code. So that's the reason whenever you wanted to see where is this exactly line it is printing, just click on this so that it will highlight the line number with a yellow color so that you can see. Now, till this point, any questions before I move on? Okay. Now,
But
yes.
ma'am, that's not showing on component.
Yes, we have not yet done in the component. Now,
Okay.
I'm still in the JavaScript. Okay, so now next thing is that next, what I wanted to do is there is another way in JavaScript. There is another way. For example, this is a list. Now, for example, if I wanted to store, I need a code where it will store the map details. My map is, right, map, we have a key value. key value. So US:$. Like this, I need a value. Now, how can I store it? This is the list and set which I have understood by using the push. We can do it. By using the push, we can do it. Now, for example, if I need a map, I need to build a map in the JavaScript. Okay, I'm taking the same code. So what I'm going to do it here is, so I'll just use curly braces because I need to build map, right? So which has a key and value, So what I'll do is I need a key. So by default, I'm giving the value colon I. I'm just giving the value colon I. But does that will give me all the values? Value colon I. Is it the right, or do I need to add anything to this?
Value we have to enter.
It will be a little bit different for the map. You need to use curly braces. Within the curly braces, you need to give a value. And closing the curly braces. Right. Now this is what it is storing. Now I'm going to comment this value. Console.log. I'll print the JSON, JavaScript numbers. I'm printing the JavaScript numbers. Now by default, I'm adding here value. This does not contain any value here. This is just some hard-coded value. This is just hard-coded value. Now let me execute this. A display number. What happened? It added the key value. It added the key and value. Now, for example, in this, I just wanted to know the key. So here I just gave the value colon, that is the hard coded. If you give any other value also fine. So what I'm doing for now, in order to build the map for the same example, I just added the value. So whenever you wanted to push the data to the map in terms of key and value, then use inside the push, there is a curly braces, and then you add what are the key and then value, what are the value is there. Now, if you have this kind of a data, how can I do it? Now, this data is definitely stored in array. See, at the end, it has a square bracket, right? Everything, the data is within the square bracket. That means the inside the data is in the array. Now, from the array, I wanted to get the keys. From the array, I wanted to get the keys or values. How can I get it? So in JavaScript, we have something which we need to loop through each one of them, right? Now, just everybody, like whoever does not know, in JavaScript, array is nothing but this. Object is nothing but this. Right? So if your data is stored in the object, that means it will be in the curly braces. Now, how our data is stored? Within the array, we have a object, and object has key and value. This is how the data is stored. This is how the data is stored right now. This is how the data is stored. Okay. So object that contains the key for each index in the array. Now, if you wanted to print for this, then what you have to loop through you have to use the for loop. But in the JavaScript for loop, till now what we have used the for loop where I equal to 0, I less than 12, I plus plus, which I have used it. That is normal coding. But in the JavaScript, what we use is Here you have to use a keyword const let var. Okay, mostly we use the const, we don't use the var and let in the for loop. So always we use the const. Const, and then this is the key which you have to use it. Take the key itself here of whatever the iterator you have, whatever the iterator you have. For example, this is the iterator. Now this is the places, right? Places you wanted to loop. So in that case, for const key of iterator. Key of iterator. So open, and then inside that you are just printing the key. You are just printing the key. So let me show you in our example what I mean. So right now, this is storing, object is stored within the array. Now what I'm going to do is for loop, then I'm going to use var instead of a const. You can use a const or var. Key in which one? In JS number. In JS number, this has to be always key, and then open curly braces. I'm just printing here the console.log. I'm not doing anything. So I'm just printing the key. Let me give some value here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and execute it. Now, okay. Let's click on display numbers. Now each key is printing. So what is happening? Whatever the each key it has, it is printing the each key. If you wanted to take key values, key, or if you wanted to take a values, okay, for now we are just focusing on key. Clear? Any questions on this JavaScript array push iterator? Okay. Now let me go ahead and now we are getting the values in the right. So I'll remove this. So right now we are getting the values in the JS numbers. Now JS numbers has the value. Perfect. I'm storing everything into the attribute, but I'm not getting the value, but it is not printing the value. If I take a normal attribute, like a string or integer, whatever, if I take it, the data will be printed, right? If I take an integer here, int number, I'm going to take a type is integer, and let's say default equal to, okay, I'll say 10. Now if I'm printing the int number, I'll just print it after this numbers. V dot int numbers. V dot int numbers. So what is happening here? Let's go ahead and see. Okay, primitive data types are, what are the values are there, it is printing, right? What are the integer, string, values, whatever is there, it is printing perfectly fine. But how about the collection? Collection values does not print on the, directly does not print on the component. You cannot print like this. Whether it is a list, a set, map, whatever it is there, you cannot print like this. You cannot print because array cannot be printed directly in the component. Array cannot be printed directly in the component. Then what do we have to do? If it is not printing directly, so what should we need to do? So we have a concept in the Salesforce called iterator in Aura. So we have to use a Aura iteration because the array contains the collection of data. The collection of data does not print directly. you need to loop through the one by one and then print. Inside the array, you need to loop through the one by one. So for that, we use a Aura iteration tag. So Aura iteration tag iterate over a collection and array of items. It will iterate over the collection or an array of items. And for each item, it is going to print the value or whatever you are doing it. So for example, right now we wanted to print. So what we have to do, we have to loop through the whatever the array is there. We need to loop that array by using the Aura iteration, by using the Aura iteration. So attributes in the Aura iteration, the mandatory attributes are items. Items is a list type. Data type is a list data type. List type. And the collection of data to iterate over. The collection of data is iterate over. So in this, I'm going to say in the items equal to whatever the my list data type variable name is there, that variable name, I'll mention it. That variable name I'll mention. And the second mandatory attribute is var. Var is a string data type, and this is just a name of the variable. That means this is a collection. For this collection, I'm giving a name so that within the Aura iteration, whatever the name I declared in var, that can be used inside the Aura iteration. That can be used inside the Aura iteration. So example, Aura iteration, here items equal to, I'm just directly printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can directly give a list of arrays here. And where I'm giving the item, this is a name. I'm just giving a name to it. And then within this iteration, it has an open and close tag. Within this Aura iteration, we are going to print it by using the whatever the variable name is there. We will take that variable name and we will print it. We will take that variable name and we will print it. Now let's go ahead and see this. Okay, so lightning card, Aura set. So what I'm going to do is, let me build the lightning layout here. So how to build the lightning layout? Which tag do I need to use it?
Lightning
Lightning column?
layout.
Within this, I'm going to divide the page into the 4.
Lightning layout item.
Layout item. So let me take size equal to, for example, 4. And then I'll add some space to it. Padding equal to around small. Perfect. Now within this, let me add this layout item. I'm going to take 3. Okay. Now in the first one, what I'm going to do is, I'm going to use Aura iteration to print hard-coded value. So similarly, whatever we see the example, that's the same example I'm going to implement in the code. So for now, what I'm going to do, Aura iteration and the attribute called items equal to, I can give any number here. And then var equal to, I'm just giving some name to it. So let's say that I'm just giving the A. Close. And within this, I'm going to print A. Whenever we are referring the var inside this, no need to use a v dot. No need to use v dot. Directly curly braces, exclamation, whatever the variable name is there, just take that variable name. Now let's go ahead and see this. It's saving. Okay. So refresh. What happened here? It's not printing anything. Lightning card. Within the lightning card, I'm using the layout. Okay, so it is just directly printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It is just directly printing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So just to print it in the each line, so what I'll do is paragraph, Control X. Okay, so let's say P. Okay, so it is printing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever the 45, the numbers are there. Now, our focus is to print the numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to print these numbers in second layout item, Aura iteration item, items equal to, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use my attribute variable name b dot whatever the attribute name is there. Then I'll say that NB. No, perfect. Now I'm going to print the value NB. So in order to print this NB, I just need to use the curly braces exclamation NB. Let's say. Now let's refresh. Okay, so right now it is displaying 1, 2, 3, 45, 67. Now I'll click on a display number. Now what is happening here? It is printing the object. Why it is printing object? Because the data which we are storing in the map, right? We are storing the data in map. Now let's refresh. Display number, now 0 to 19. 0 to 19, it is displaying it. Now directly we cannot display the numbers in what are the collection data is there, directly we cannot print it on the component. Now even similar like a set also, per set you wanted to display the cities. So similarly in next one what I'll do is I'll use the Aura iteration, Aura colon iteration items equal to curly braces exclamation b dot what are the attribute name is there, and then var equal to, I'll just use PL, close the iteration. Now I'm going to print the values of PL. Exclamation PL. Now let's click on it, refresh. Right here it is showing US and India. Only two values which we have. Okay, we have declared the multiple values here, so it has taken only. Set is duplicate does not allow. So same concept here also. It is showing US and India. Okay, any questions? List, set. And JavaScript.
Swapna, could you just brief about map storing in JavaScript?
Okay, if you wanted to store, for example, you have an array. Okay, in array itself, that means in array, I wanted to store the key value. I need a list. I need a list. This is the array. Inside the array, I wanted to store the values in terms of key and values. If you wanted to store in terms of key values, that means like this. So key colon value. If you wanted to store this, so what you can do is whatever the attribute name is there. For example, JS numbers dot, I'm going to use the push and this is normal. And then within this, we have something called curly braces. In the curly braces, we have to give value colon I, because I need to build this curly braces object. I need to build it inside the array. Inside the array, if I wanted to build the object, specify the object clearly in whenever you are pushing it and say what are the key and value you wanted to push it, just mention the key value. So what will happen? Your object will be implemented. So this is called object. Once your object is implemented, it is going to push it into the array.
Here key is I, right?
You can declare it. That is just an example which I have given. So what I have given right now is key is nothing but a value that I have given. So key is a I definitely. So if you say JS numbers dot keys, so it will give all the I values.
Thanks, Swapna.
Any other questions in the iteration? Okay, so let's go ahead and see the map. So I'll create it one more component, collection map. Click on submit. So this time what I'm going to implement is I'm going to implement map aura colon attribute and the name equal to, I can say that L map, and the type I need to mention map. Type equal to map. That means this type of attribute is a map attribute. Now I need to mention the default. For now, I'm going to use the default. So default declaration for the map is not an array. Map is not an array. Till now, we have stored the values within this, right? Like this array. Because list is an array and set is an array. But map, you cannot store like this. For the map, you have to use this. For the map, you have to use curly braces, not the square brackets, not the square brackets. Default. So for example, I'm going to take the key here str1 and then I'll say, I'm going to say null. Okay, I'm just defining some dummy data here. I'm defining some dummy data. This is str1 and str2. This is some dummy data which I'm displaying here, default. Now, declaration is done. Now, on load of this component, I wanted to write some logic. So which lightning tag do we have to use it? On load of the component that I wanted to write some logic.
Aura handler.
Aura handler. And what is the name that we need to use it?
Init.
Yes. Name equal
Name
to
is equals to
init
init.
and the value
And
is,
value
yes, what is the value?
Curly bracket, exclamatory.
This.
this.
And action, you can use curly braces, exclamation, C dot. You can use any method name. For now, I'm using the do init. Perfect. Now I have used the Aura handler name init and value this action equal to do init. Now I'll go to the controller. In the controller, I have to implement do init. Now in this do init, now our first focus is we have only one attribute which is called as a LMap, which is a map collection data type. First, what I'll do is I'll get whatever the values that are stored in the LMap. What is the method do I need to use it in order to get the attribute value in the JavaScript?
Component dot get.
Component dot get
Component dot get v dot what are the
Dot
attribute name.
LMap.
Now I got the values here. Now let's see what we are getting it. So I'm going to use console.log. Then I'm printing the map. I'm just printing the map. We don't use the v dot here. In JavaScript, we do not use v dot. Now let me include this component in the application. C:LC collection map. Right. So what are the proxies there here? That is the data. Okay, in order to clearly understand, let me write here some text. Okay, so let's refresh. Okay, it is giving object, right? So let's click on this. What is the map contents? Now if I try to hover this component.get map. Let's refresh. I'm doing the debug right now. So component.get v.lmap. So this entire thing is containing object because object data you will not get it. Now watch component.get v.lmap. It's giving proxy, but same thing what I'll do is add one more thing. JSON.stringify. If I give this JSON.stringify component.get v.lmap. What does JSON.stringify does it? So whatever you see object, whenever you see the output as a object, that means the data is stored in the object level. The data is stored in the object level. So if you wanted to deprecate that value, use capital JSON dot small stringify. In code also you can use this. In code also you can use. Right now what we are doing, we are directly printing this value. So what I'll do, JSON dot, I'll just say stringify. JSON.stringify. Now I'll refresh. Console, refresh. Right? So before it was giving the object. Now it is giving null. Basically, there is no value at all. So far, we have not set any value. Now what I'm going to do is, now everything is stored here. What are the key values? Everything is stored here. Now what I'll do is, I'll take map. Map is nothing but this one. Okay, I'll change this vmap. Vmap. So that means I'm referring the variable I'm taking here. What are the vmap is there? I'm taking that variable. And then I'm going to use this. This is what I'm doing here basically. In string 1, I'm going to store some name. In string 2, I'm going to store some name. So here, str1 equal to, I'll say first name. And then str2. I'll say next one is str2 equal to, I'm just giving some names here, last name. This is what I wanted to store. Right now, what is there? Instead of first name, we just have a null here. str1 equal to null, str2 equal to null. This is what it is there. So instead of null, what I'm going to do, I'm going to store some text in the str1 and str2. I'm going to store some string value in the str1 and str2. So what I'm going to do is, first I'll take the str1. So str1 equal to first name. str1 equal to first name. Then similarly, vmap str2 equal to last name. I have just stored it. I have just stored this. Now what I'll do is, what are the vmap is there? Vmap, I'll set back to the, what are my attribute is there, component attribute, right? So initially I have taken this, I'm getting the value of lmap, storing everything in the vmap. From the vmap, what are the key is there? str1. So I'm storing it as a first name. str2 is last name. Now, once this is done, I'm setting back to the, what are the original attribute is there? Component dot set dot lmap comma vmap. Now I'll print this value after this console.log. Now let's see. Refresh. Okay. Doing it, map is not defined. Map is not defined. It's a vmap. Refresh. So whenever you get this error, just check in the action field. In the action field, it will give exact error.
Swapna, I
Yes.
think lmap we need to use. Lmap we need to use, I think.
where we have to use LMAP.
We are printing, right? Console dot string. Stringify, JSON stringify we are taking.
So let's print the component dot.
Third one.
So instead of JSON stringify, what I'm going to use is component dot get v dot LMAP. Map is not defined. What is happening here? Failing because doing it. Source, let's keep this v map. It's not,
Swapna, line number 9.
it's
Line
not
number 9.
refreshed. Sorry.
Line number
Line number 9. We
9.
have used map.
The code is not yet refreshed.
Fourth line, yes. Fourth line.
Fourth line, what happened here? Map, okay. So what I'll do is, right now I'm going to print in the meantime, let me print this map. So now map is also directly, you cannot print like this. Curly braces v dot map, you cannot print like this. Either you divide which one you want. Like here I say str1, str2 are there. So if I wanted to print str1, map dot, what are the key is there, str1. Or else if you wanted to use map dot str2. Because right now here I have a key. Keys are available, which I can directly print using that. So B. Okay. By using this, what I can do is I can print the values also. Let's refresh. Okay. Now let's go ahead. Now v map dot str1 equal to first name, and then v map str2 equal to last name. Now what are the v map is containing? Right now my v map is having the let's click here plus v map. So what are the v map is there? Everything that I can. Let's take here JSON dot stringify. VMap. Right. So right now my VMap is containing the str1 equal to first name, str2 equal to last name. Now this slashes, don't worry about it. It is automatically added. So right now what we are doing is object, we are stringifying it, right? From the object, we are doing the string, we are displaying it in the stringify format. So that's the reason it is automatically added that slash and double quotes. Now, once this is done, now how I'm going to see the output? Definitely it is an object, but I should be able to see the value in where is the value? Now let me change this to the JSON.string file. Control S and then refresh. Inspect console. Right, str1 first name, str2 equal to last name. This is perfectly fine, but why it is not giving me the values here? V dot curly braces exclamation V dot L map. It's not a map, it's a L map. L map dot str1, L map dot str2. So refresh. Okay. Still it is not coming. Data is there. V dot S L map dot str1 str2 okay, so let me do one thing. So str1 str2, I'll take another attribute here, aura colon attribute name equal to, I'll say str1 type equal to string. I'm just taking another string here, string. And then default equal to, what I'll do is v dot okay. Whatever the output is there, I'm storing into the str1. V dot lmap dot str1. Let's click on save. And let's refresh. Okay. Execute it. I think it's displaying it. How about if I type str1? V dot str1. Okay. Is something wrong here? V dot lmap dot str1, V dot lmap str2.
So, correct me if I'm wrong. For handler also we need to use card or something. Do we need to use? Because in app we are loading two components.
Sorry, can you repeat that?
In application we are using two components.
In application, we are using the two components str2.
No. Application. We can see the preview, right? Lightning application.
Okay.
And do we need to use handler also in card?
No.
Because in collection, one card is ending, right?
Mhm.
So next card has to start, right? Or
No, I have commented that line. What are the previous one is there? Okay, we'll see map with the sObject. Okay, so instead of doing this, all this, so better we will do it map with the what are the sObjects are there. So using the sObject, we can build it. So probably tomorrow we can see that map. So for now, I'm moving on. Map, we will do it tomorrow or next week. Okay. Other than map, is there any questions on the list or set? Okay, so the next one which I'm going to is RadioGroup. For example, right now we have a scenario that all the layouts are, whatever the layout items are there, it is displaying it. Assume that. I'll comment out the second one. Okay. Now we have collection. Let's click on refresh. Now here the data is displaying this one standard, it is displaying it. For example, let's say that I have a 2 radio checkboxes here. I needed 2 checkboxes. Based on that checkbox, it should display this or this. What are the last one is there? It should display either this or it should display this one. For example, if I have a radio options called numbers and places. If I check numbers, the number should be displayed. If I check places, the places should be displayed. So using the RadioGroup option, we can implement it. So RadioGroup is a radio button group that can have a single option selected. That can have single option selected. Attributes are name, where we need to specify the name of an element. And the second one is label, where we have to give the text label. And then the third one is option. Options are whatever the options that we wanted to print in the radio button options, array of label values, right? What are the options that we wanted to show in the UI? Those options we have to give it in the options. And then next one is values. Values is basically once the user is selected. Once the user is selected, then I wanted to store that selected value here. I wanted to store the selected value here. And next one is a type. Type is nothing but there are 2 types are available in the RadioGroup. The first one is a radio type and the second one is a button. The second one is button. So the default is radio. Syntax is lightning : RadioGroup, name equal to, so name is the attribute equal to RadioGroup, and then label I'm adding here RadioGroup. Options are v dot options. Value equal to what are the values are selected by the user. Those values I'm storing into the value. And type equal to whether I wanted to display this as a radio button or I wanted to display this as normal button. So this will decide it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement the same way. Is card is mandatory to display the list? No, card is not mandatory. Card we have taken because we have implemented the Aura set attribute equal to actions. So that's the reason we have taken the lightning : card. Otherwise, you without using the card also you can implement it. So if you use the card, then the beautification will add into that particular, right? Okay, so let's go ahead and implement the RadioGroup. Now, in the same component, I'm going to add the RadioGroup. So for the RadioGroup, first we need to declare the attribute. First we need to declare the, because I'm going to right now display the options in hard-coded value. So options, Aura : attribute, I'll say name equal to options. And then type equal to. So here, this type options type is always in the list because I'm going to show multiple options, numbers, string, decimal, right? Multiple options we can show. So it is a list type. It is list type. So default, what I'm going to do is I'm going to display the default value. Inside the default value, let me declare it. So I'm building the two objects here. In the first object, I'll take the label, colon, value. So first one is a label and the second one is a value. So my label is cities, or let's take a numbers. Values equal to numbers. Values equal to, I'll say instead of numbers, I'll go for option 1. Option 1, not the double quote, single quotes. Okay, this is label equal to numbers and value equal to option 1. That is the first one. And the second one, label, comma, value. And in the label, I'll say string. And the value equal to option 2. Option 2. Label, string, value, option 2. So this is my list. Basically, I have declared two options here. So the first one is, this is the numbers and the second one is string. So this is the two things which I have declared it. It will display like this, numbers, and then this is string, right? Now, the attribute declaration is done. Did I close it? I have not closed. Okay, the attribute declaration is done. I'm declaring the list attribute where the name is a options. In this list, I have a label which is called as a numbers and the value is a option 1, and the second one label equal to string, and the second one is value equal to option 2. Value equal to option 2. Now the next thing is that I need to implement a radio group. These are the options. These are options. I just gave the, there is a list is declared, the attribute list is declared it. Now I need to implement radio group. So let's take a radio group here within this. Now below the Aura set. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to implement Lightning colon radio group. Radio group. And inside this, we have an attribute called name equal to. So let me give some name here. Radio group. And then label. Label equal to, I'll say collection select collections. And after the label, what are the other attributes we have? Options. Options equal to, what are the options here? These are the options which I wanted to display. And then once the options are selected by the user, value will be selected. So whenever the user selects the value, I wanted to store it into one value. So let me take another attribute called value. I'll take the another attribute called value, and this is a string. I don't want to give any default. So if you wanted to give a default, you can use the default option 1. That is also fine. So if you wanted to declare a default, use the whatever here the values are there, use that value here, because ultimately whenever the user selects it, so these numbers are displayed in the UI. Values are which is for backend developers. So when you select the radio button, for the developers, value option is available. For the users, only they can see labels. Only they can see label. Now after the value, now I wanted to display this as a radio. So I'm going to check this radio and then I'm closing it. Now option is done. Radio group is implemented. Let's see. I just implemented the radio group, but I did not deactivate these options. I did not deactivate these options. Now it says that 4, it is giving me the 4 values here. 4 circles it is giving. It's giving 4 circles. But actually I need to have only 2 circles with the name. Is there anything wrong? So let me use the different values here. It is a string is a predefined value. Place. Okay. Default label. Radio group. V dot options. Okay, V dot value. That's sorry.
In label, it should be in quotes place.
In label.
Place. Yeah. Place only.
Place should be in single quotes.
Oh, okay. So let's refresh. Okay, still not coming. Value colon option 1, value colon option 2. Radio group. Let me give this radio group outside. Let's refresh. Okay, fine. So because it is there in the lightning card, it was giving that error. So I have just written the outside. Okay.
Swapna, I had written it inside lightning card, but
Yeah, so because
it shows me
I have
properly.
used it, that's what I'm thinking it should work. But probably Aura set or something which is making it different. Okay, it's working now. Fine. So what will happen is if I select the cities, this first one should be displayed. If I select places, this should be displayed. So what I'm going to do is I'll use, how can we render it? What is the command that we need to use it? If I select cities, only this should be displayed. If I select places, only this should be displayed. How can I display it? Render, conditionally display.
Aura.
Aura if. So we have to use keyword called Aura if. So for this one, I'm going to use if my value, okay, if my value equal to option 1, then display this. Aura colon if, then is true equal to curly braces exclamation v dot value equal to option 1. Option 1 has to be in the string. Now end this. Control X and close it here after our iteration. Now let's refresh. Right, it's going away. If I select these places, if I select cities, only it is displaying. If I select places, it is going away. Now, if I select a place, only place should be displayed. If I select cities, place should not be displayed. So what I'll do is I'll use Aura if equal to is true. Option 2. Now, after the Aura iteration, I'm going to use this. Let me add one more layout here. Right, so for now, it is displaying only 1. If I select here, only US is displayed. If I select the cities, only this one is displayed. This is a radio group. In case if you do not want a radio group, so what you can do is you can use, instead of radio, you can use a button. You can use button. So refresh. So if you say places, only places will be displayed. This. Okay, any questions on the radio group?
Hi, ma'am. V is here is like a variable, no? V dot value.
Yes. Yes, V is nothing but we are viewing the attribute. It's a view, viewing the attribute value. Any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. One more thing I want to know, like when we can use Aura if.
Aura if is a conditionally if you wanted to display certain data.
Okay. So in any line of code we can use that. So is there any, I mean, particular section that we need to mention this Aura?
No, Aura if is basically it's normal if else condition. So you can use it in any line. There is no restriction on that. Okay. So far we have seen the collection, list, set, map. Map we are going to see later, but today we have seen the list, set, map, how to declare it, we have understood. Now, after that, we have a sObject. sObject is nothing but standard object and custom object. How to declare an attribute as a standard object and a custom object. How to declare an attribute as a standard object and custom object. So we have an attribute so that means an attribute can have a type corresponding to the standard or a custom object. Type. So before we were giving type equal to list, type equal to set, type equal to map. So if you give a type equal to standard object name, that means you are referring the sObject. Type equal to custom object name. That means you are referring the custom object. You are creating an attribute where the type is a custom object. You are creating an attribute for the standard object. So for example, if you take Aura attribute, name equal to ACCT and type equal to account, that means this is a account attribute. This is a account attribute. In code, in Apex, what we used to do, account ACCT, right? Account ACCT. So similarly, we have here attribute name ACCT, type account. Type account. So what is that means? We are declaring an empty container for the account table, for the account object. If it is a sObject, you can use the type equal to student __ C. Wherever the standard object is there, in the same type equal to, you can use the custom object called student __ C. So this is how we declare the sObject, whether it is a standard object or a custom object. Now let's go ahead and declare. Clear all. So new lightning component. So let's say LC _ sObject and click on a submit. Now I'm going to declare an attribute Aura : attribute Aura : attribute name equal to ACC and the type equal to account. Type equal to account. Type equal to account. So this is the account declaration. If I want any other object, only account I can do, or any other object, you can do any other object. Contact you can do, lead you can do, any standard object, any standard object. For example, if you have a custom object, we have a custom object called student. So we have a custom object called student. So student, so let me take that. So here student and std. This is the declaration, attribute declaration for sObject. Now, default, we have to mention the default. Default equal to, it's a object. Default equal to, it's a object. Whatever you are mentioning, it has to be inside the object. Now here you need to mention sObject type. sObject type : account. sObject type : account. And if it is a contact, mention the same for the contact also. sObject type equal to contact. sObject type equal to contact. If it is a student, sObject type equal to student. Now, what will happen if I do not declare a attribute? If I do not declare a default, I'll tell you the. I'll show you the differences, but just hold on. So right now, what we are doing it, we are initializing it. We are initializing it, which is nothing but what I'm doing here. Account ACCT or account ACC equal to new account. I'm initializing it, right? I'm initializing it. This part is, whatever this part is there, account ACC. But once I say the default equal to sObject type equal to account, that means I'm initializing it. I'm initializing empty container. I'm initializing the account. I'm initializing account. Now I have the account initialization is done. So what I'll do is lightning : card. So I'll take the title equal to account. So within the account, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to print in the account. We have a account name, rating, we have a certain values, right? Now we have a fields. If I go to the account, we have a multiple fields, whether it is a custom field or a standard field, we have a multiple fields in the contact. Now, I wanted to capture this information in the Salesforce, in the Lightning Aura. I wanted to get these field values directly in the Aura without Apex help. Without Apex help, I wanted to bring this field, just what are the fields are there. These field details, I wanted to bring it here. So who is going to help this? Whatever the attribute that we have declared it, that attribute is going to help us to display the fields here. So for example, if I say, so how can I display it? I can display it using the lightning colon input. Lightning colon input, and then I can display label equal to, let's say, account name. Account name. Now, value. Value, I wanted to directly take it from exclamation b dot acc dot. What I can do, I can directly take a name. Name is the API field name. Name is the API field name. So what I'm doing here, I'm just taking the, till this point, we know how to refer attribute. How to refer an attribute, we know. Now, additionally, what I'm adding is dot name, I'm adding it. Because I have done the initialization here. I have done the initialization here. From this variable itself, from this attribute itself, I can capture all my fields. I can capture all my fields. Now let's say here, lightning input, I wanted to show the phone number, or I wanted to show the fax, right? And I wanted to show some other variables here, industry, or let's say rating, right? These fine. Now I wanted to display these values. I wanted to display these values. Fine. So now I'm going to execute this. Let's see, is there any error? Lightning input. Lightning input. Let's say I'm going to display this in application. So C colon LC underscore S object. C colon. Now let's refresh. It has a account name. Okay, multiple times account name is coming because we did not change the value here. This is the account phone number, account fax, account rating. This is normal fields which we are implementing it using the input. Using the input and implementing it. I can type the data here. I can type the data. What are the data is there? I can type it. And if I create a submit button, I can submit it. Right? Like if I click on this, what will happen if I implement a button? So what will happen? It is going to show me what are the data is there. For example, what are the data I have entered, it is going to capture. So let me take the button here. So inside the lightning card, let's add Aura set, Aura colon set, attribute equal to actions. And within this, we have a lightning colon button label equal to submit on click equal to, let's say that I'm going to call handle submit. Now, whatever the data is entered here, I wanted to capture in JavaScript. I wanted to capture in JavaScript. We are not using the Aura ID here. I'm not using the Aura ID. Everything is stored in ACC. Whatever I entered here or whatever I entered here, whatever I enter here, everything is where it is storing the parent attribute called ACC, because the difference I am taking is ACC dot name. This field is created in the Salesforce. We have these fields, name is there, and we have a phone number, and we have a fax, right? These fields which we have taken it from the Salesforce object. And I created the input field. Now in the JavaScript, whatever the user enter here, whatever the user enter here, I wanted to capture the data in JavaScript. How can I capture the data in JavaScript? So in order to capture, what we use component.get v.acc. That's it. I need not to write acc.name, acc.phone, acc.fax, acc.rating. No, I need not to write everything. If I just say v.acc, that means all the data, whatever the user has entered in those fields, everything is stored in this object, sObject called acc. Everything is stored in the sObject. Now, if I print, now, will I be able to get the name? Will I be able to get the phone? Will I be able to get the fax? Does it show? Yes, it will show. Console dot, I'll say console.log. Okay. Double quote account name. So let's say that here I'm going to use acc dot. I'll take VACC dot name, VACC dot phone, VACC dot fax. Right, let's save it. Now let's refresh. Inspect console. Now I'm entering here the data. Let's take Sanjana. And the phone number plus 91. And the account fax plus 444. And then I'll click on it, submit. I'll click on submit. What happened? Everything, all the data is given. All the data it is giving. Why phone is undefined.
Parse we have to do maybe.
Case sensitive.
Okay.
JavaScript is case. If you are changing the small letters to capital, capital to small letters, you will not be able to see the data properly. Shailaja plus 96 number, and then plus. Now let's click on it, submit. When I click on it, all the data is displaying it. Account name, account phone, account fax. Right? If you are using the sObject data type, you need not to store the value separately into another attribute. You need not to store the values into another attribute. Everything can be stored into the ACC by referring the, you have to refer a field, whatever the field is there in that object, you have to mention that field. So automatically what happened, whenever the user is entered here, it captured in this name. Automatically it will capture in this name. Now let's suppose if I remove this default, if I remove this default, I'm removing it. Refresh. Immediately it is throwing an error as soon as I type it. Immediately is throwing an error as soon as I type it. Because the initialization is not done. Initialization is not yet done. You just gave a account ACC. You just gave a account ACC. That's it. We have not initialized perfectly. It's just an account ACC. This is not the initialization. When I say new account is nothing but the new account initialization is happening, or it is taking the new account details. Or if I say, if I'm doing the query instead of a new, I'm trying to get the existing data equal to some data I'm adding here. In that case, yes, it is there. There is some initialization is happening. Now, if you remove the default, system doesn't think that it has a properly initialized, and it will not be able to capture that particular object field. You will not be able to capture the field inside that object. If you want a specific fields inside that object, then what you have to do, you have to specify the default equal to sObject type equal to account. Need to mention, and it has to be small s, capital O, object, and capital T. It has to be same format as object type equal to account, so that what will happen, whatever the fields you are referring within that object can be accessible. Now, if you remove the default, you cannot access the field in this object. You cannot access the field in this object. So that's the reason for the sObject, default is mandatory, and sObject type, we should mention which object fields that we are going to refer there. Which object fields we are going to refer. Similarly, if you want a contact, you can display the contact also. You can display the contact. So let's say here, I'm just copying this information, and I'll say that I wanted to display here the contact, right? So handle submit same. Now here contact name. Contact has a CON. So CON, and then contact email. Contact email. Let's say email, and that's it. Let's take only 2 fields. Now another card I'm declared. Yes.
Email also v dot con.
CON.
Okay, CON. Now let's say if you want in the JavaScript, you can capture the CON. VCON, and then console.log, let's say VCON name and VCON email. Contact. Let's refresh. Okay, so below contact information is displaying it. If I say contact is Rajkumar and rk@gmail.com, I click on his submit. Why account is giving undefined? Because the same button, whatever the action we are calling it, whatever the method we are calling it, for account also we are calling it. So right now there is no data for the account. That's the reason it is displaying undefined. That's the reason it is showing the undefined. Now, the next thing is that how to save a record directly without, just a second. How can I save the record directly without calling the Apex? So that part we will be discussing later. Without the Apex, I can enter this, and instead of the submit button, if I click on a save button, it will be automatically created, a record will be created in the Salesforce. So where we do not need a Apex for that. Yes.
Yeah. So now I have a doubt. Can you go in the component file? Yeah. So now here, when you say v.con.name, right? So this dot name, whichever is there, it should exist in the object, right? I cannot say name like name 123. Will it throw error?
It won't. I mean, it will throw an error
Yeah.
because you should not be accessing the field which does not have.
But it doesn't throw me any error. That's what I did not understand why it happened that way.
Right now, we are
Okay.
just playing with it, so it might not be there. So it won't be there because right now we are just playing it. We are not actually testing it. But if you see here the output is
No, because
undefined.
no, output is undefined because we used the wrong field name, I think, over there. It should be
UI
name
does
1, 2,
not
3.
have. So this whatever the value is there, that is a storing the value. It's not a UI.
Okay.
Value is to store the value. If this is the specific to the UI, it might have thrown an error, but value doesn't play any role on the UI. UI declaration is till this point, lightning column input. But whether to capture or not, it's depending on the value. So that's the reason I'm not getting the value here. So value doesn't play any role in the user interface to display the fields.
No, my only question was, I mean, when we say v.con.name, right? So this name is actually, this con is a object which refers to the context, isn't it? So it should have only fields which are inside the con, correct? So if I give something extra, like name 123 does not exist in the object, but I'm giving it, still it does not throw any error, right?
It
I
doesn't,
mean,
that's
that's
what
what
I'm
was my
saying.
question.
Value does not play any role on the UI. It will not throw an error. You are expecting an error here. Whenever I execute it, it should throw me an error here.
Yeah.
It will not throw an error. No, that will not happen. But when you enter the value there, it will not store in this.
Mhm. Okay.
Hold on a second. If I say name 123 here,
Yeah, then it will show properly.
right? It will not throw any errors.
Yeah. Okay. I was
Hello.
a bit confused because we initialized it to the sObject, right? sObject type context. So my understanding was that only the fields referring to the context are allowed in v.account. So it's still allowed. So I was,
Yeah.
it's okay. I mean,
So ideally, the standard way is whatever the fields are there, we should take that. But if you are using this kind of a thing, says nothing, but we don't do the development. That's a mistaken from the development side. So we should be taking the fields in the object level.
yeah.
Hello, Sabna.
Yeah.
Here we use Aura set. Actually, I forgot like why we are using here Aura set and what is the purpose of set.
Okay, I think somebody can explain this attribute equal to actions. What is the purpose of Aura set? Anyone?
By default, the buttons have to come at the right side. So for that only we have been used Aura set and footer.
Aura set also attributes title and footer. To put the title in the page.
So as per the Salesforce standard, where the buttons will be displayed, all the buttons this right side. But if you implement without Aura set, where the button will be displayed, this corner it will display, the left side. So if you want a standard Salesforce Lightning layout, if you want it, all the buttons should be displayed in the right side. Similar like how the Salesforce is there, then you have to use the Aura set attribute actions.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions?
No.
So best practices while developing the Aura component. So far, whatever we have discussed it, I'm going to cover only those points. So some best practices for developing the Aura component is use Aura ID attribute to uniquely identify a component. If you are using a string attribute, or if you are using any primitive data type, right? Or you have some logic which you have implemented, multiple buttons should be calling the same method. In that case, Aura ID is mandatory. So use the Aura ID wherever it is needed, and it has to be unique name. Aura ID equal to, it should be unique name. So that what will happen from the JavaScript, whenever we are calling, it should able to identify the component by using the Aura ID. And next one is use the Aura if and Aura set attribute. Why we need it? Because on load, I do not want to load the big component. For example, I have implemented a component for 100 lines or 200 lines, which I have implemented. We do not want to load at the on load. It should not be happen. It is better if you do it conditionally render that particular part of the component, so that what will happen, the performance or the load will be decreased, right? So you will be able to perform the actions based on the conditional. So always use Aura if, Aura set, wherever it is needed, that conditionally render the specific part of component. And the next one is use Aura iteration attribute to iterate the list of data. So in real time, out of list, set, map, mostly we use list. Map is very less in Aura. Map is very used in the Apex, but in the Aura, it is very rare using the map. So in Aura, we use list of the data. So whenever you have a list of data, use the Aura iteration and then iterate through each of the item within that list. And the next one is use the Aura attribute to define the attributes of component. So wherever you are not using the Aura ID, so in that case, you need to use the Aura attribute to define certain attributes for a component. So these are the few things which are best practices, which will reduce the load on the page, because we are implementing the Aura if set, Aura iteration, Aura ID. So by using this, what will happen is there is a light on the page, not much load on the page. Any questions on the best practices?
Yeah, Sapna, like Aura ID only we can use for the primitive data type, like a string, integer, boolean.
You can use it for the buttons also. For example, the scenario which I have seen in the last classes, we have a calculator, addition, multiplication. For those buttons, you can directly call only one method. Instead of repeating the same logic in the multiple methods, you can call only one method. So for the buttons also, you can use Aura ID. So there is no restriction that I should not be using the Aura ID for certain Lightning component. No, you can use it for anything, Aura ID. There is no restriction on that.
And Aura iteration is like a kind of a loop that we are iterating on the list of data type.
Yes. So
in the previous class, you have deal with the Aura ID and Aura iteration.
Yes.
Aura iteration today only.
So far we have discussed the collection data type in Aura, iteration in Aura, RadioGroup, sObject data type in Aura, and then we have seen the JavaScript. How to declare an array in JavaScript, how to push the data into the array, and how the object declaration is there in the JavaScript. How to declare the object within the array, we have seen that. Now questions. What are supported collection types in Aura?
List, set, map.
List, set, and map.
List set map.
How to display list of values in Aura component?
List of
Aura colon.
Aura,
Iterator.
sorry,
Aura
Aura
iteration.
iteration.
Aura iteration.
by using the Aura colon iteration. How can we conditionally display content in the Lightning component?
Aura if.
Aura if. Aura colon if.
What is the significance of the init client-side method?
Aura handler.
What is the significance of the init method in the client side?
On
It's a
loading
kind
of
fun-
page.
Yeah, on loading of page, it's a kind of function, I think.
Right. So init client side method is used to initialize a component after it's been created. That means on loading of the component, I can call the certain logic. And the first homework is implement a Lightning component to display the student list on the component. So add the student list from the JavaScript. Do not add it on the component. From the JavaScript, add the student list and then print on the component. That is the first one. And the second requirement is display the 3 boxes. And the first box display the country US, India, and second display the other countries, India, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, and other box display the France and Germany. Now, how you are going to implement, which collection you are going to implement, use it, that is up to you. And we need to display 1 dot, 2 dot. The numbers also should be displayed. And the third one, implement a Lightning component, 5 radio groups button. First one, if account radio button is checked, then display the account details. If contact radio button is checked, then display the contact details. If lead radio button is clicked on it, then display the lead details. If case radio button is checked, then display the case details. If opportunity radio button is displayed, checked, only display the opportunity. So it should not, when we are displaying the opportunity, the other should not be displayed. Account, contact, lead, cases should not be displayed. That's all for today. And these are the trial head. I'll ping you this trial head.
Swapna, will you